everybody, my name is Cecy Travel, and today we're gonna talk about my experience as a first-time backpacker. As you might already know, in the last year I did a lot of different things, and most of them, if not all, were very new to me. Backpacking was not an exception, and I want you to know as well, like traveling, depending on how you do it, it's very different. So I wanted to make this video with you to tell you my experiences and my thoughts on how it was for me to backpack for the first time. And if I ever do a different type of traveling in a different way, I would also maybe do a video like that so that you can compare and make your choice in case you want to travel in the future. If you're planning a backpacking trip in the future, I would like you to know that in this video I'm going to give a few tips, but if you like more like in-depth information and more tips about this, just let me know in the comments below, because this video is going to be more focused on my thoughts and what I struggle the most or what happened to me in my process, so that you can think about this before you start your trip. If you don't know what trip I'm talking about, it's a Southeast Asian trip that we made last year in a span of 3 months, and this was not planned at all. We decided in about a span of a week what was the first country that we were going to visit, and we didn't have an itinerary or an idea of what was going to be our next move after that country. I packed what I thought I would need, but needless to say, being the first time, I overpacked some things that I didn't really need, and there was some things, one thing or two, that I should have put more thought into packing. I also didn't have an actual backpack, so I had to borrow one from a hostel guest that left it in the hostel, and then I bought a cheap one on the way. Needless to say, this was not a great option. If you have the time and the chance to plan your trip, I would highly recommend to take your time and invest a little bit on a backpack that would serve you well. It doesn't have to be like fancy or expensive, it just has to be good enough so that you make sure it's not gonna break when you are traveling, which happened to me very early on. I heard in someone's videos or some blog sometime of people saying you shouldn't like care too much about the bag because you're not gonna actually wear it as much as you think, and this might be true, but you have to be very careful on having something proper, especially if you don't have a good idea of how much you're carrying, in the sense of like you have more of the weight that you actually need to be carrying, and then you have a backpack that is just like a little piece of fabric that is like, yeah, holding your things for a certain amount of time, but it's actually hurting your body, your back, your spine and everything, and you don't want to have that when you're traveling. If you're backpacking on a medium to low budget, you would probably need to use public transport at some point, and also be walking from stations to your hotel or wait in line of migration or things like that. So you have to have something that at least will assure you that it's not going to be hurting you on the way. It might also be very easily breakable, and you don't want your stuff to be falling around when you're walking through a town with other people, backpackers, cars, bare ground or things like that, or even if you're hopping into a bus and then your things fall over and you have to move on. So please invest in that if you have the chance. Again, it doesn't have to be super expensive or fancy, just something that is decent and bearable for you. And that takes me to the next point, which is physical fatigue. When you're traveling, it's very common that you would get a lot of pains, your back pain because of your backpack, or because you've been sleeping in not very comfortable beds from the hostels or the hotels. You've been traveling in buses or ferries or things like that for long hours, or your typical feet pain when you're walking a lot. Also, when traveling, we're not very likely to follow any type of routine when you're with your sleep, your exercise or your food. And you know, we're humans, we need to have your fuel as any type of other animal, machine thing to keep us going. For this, if you're not really used to having a very healthy lifestyle and you're planning to travel in, I don't know, about a year from now or 2 years from now or something like that, when you finish college or when you have like a gap year or something, I would recommend to start doing any type of exercise right now. 10 minutes walking around the neighborhood, some sort of yoga. If you like dancing, if you love any type of thing, I would recommend you to start now with small steps. You don't have to be like super, fit or anything. You just have to be a little bit more active so you are able to do more stuff. In the 6 months prior that I was before I went to travel, I was in reception. So even if it's a very mentally demanding job, it's not really physically. yes, you have, you know, your stress, your things, you have to carry stuff or move around sometimes, but it's not really that demanding physically. So I had a little bit of a hard time when I started traveling, and I didn't have like an actual physical condition. And even, yeah, you can walk, you can do a lot of things without having an actual like good physical condition. But I would tell you, if you're trying to backpack on the long run, if you're planning on a few countries or you're planning a few months, I would say I would highly recommend you to start doing some sort of physical activity just to keep you active, so that you can last longer and you get less fatigued. So highly recommend that. And this take me to me giving you a little bit of advice on how to stay healthy in the track. And my first advice would be to, even if it sounds impossible, try to do a little bit of exercise while you're traveling. It seems very chaotic and you have a lot of things to do and you've seen a lot of things. You just go back to your room and you want to sleep. And in the next morning you want to go and discover a new place and you're so excited. But I would tell you again, if you're planning to backpack larger than, like, I don't know, a week or something like that, I would highly recommend to do something every day. I didn't do this on the last trip, but now I'm building up the habit because I want to be present and be in my best shape when I'm at that place that you can actually, you know, enjoy everything. But if you don't have like a certain level of physical ability, yeah, you can obviously enjoy anyways, but I would say that's something that lessened my experience in at some point, because I wasn't like full for you know, I wasn't in the conditions for everything. You know, you want to go hiking sometimes, you want to do different types of things, but you are already like so tired, and this builds up. You know, if you're just going and walking all day and doing some things, and then you go back to your room and you just want to sleep, and it goes and on and on and on. And if you don't have like a kind of a routine, and that's something, even if it's, you know, you wake up and you do some stretches, you need something like that to be able to balance your day and to keep you as well like physically well or better. Food wise, we all have our specific habits and foods that we like to eat, but I would say in the track, try to stay as healthy as possible, as balanced as possible. Wherever you go, there's always going to be cities or even full countries that this is not very possible to keep up track with. So as much as you can in the countries or cities that you are able to eat fruit, eat vegetable, fiber, do so and do as much as possible, exactly because of the same reason that when you go into different countries you would find yourself unable to do it. And besides this, keep you healthier and more balanced. You don't want to find yourself constipated in the middle of nowhere or in places that you don't have the availability to do something about it or even to make it better once it happened. And don't forget to leave space to consume foods that will help you to have the energy that you need on the track, like protein and carbohydrates. So with this reminder and tips, I hope you can stay a little bit healthier and do as much as possible to stay like that, and you can avoid the travel physical fatigue. And physical fatigue is not the only thing that you can get while traveling, but this can highly affect on the so-called travel burnout or travel fatigue. Burnout is defined as mental or physical collapse due to overwork and stress, and usually this is associated with just work stress. And that's fair enough, but if you think about it, when you are traveling, you not just stay in beautiful places, you don't teletransport randomly and move from one place to the other and just like enjoy the nice places. You have to travel a lot, you have to be aware of where you're gonna stay for the night, you have to carry your stuff all the way, you maybe don't have enough space because you have just one backpack to have everything that you want. You have a lot of stress thinking about visa things, if you have to leave the country already, if you need something for that specific visa, what type of transport does a specific country has, can you use a specific type of transport to go a specific route, or if not, you have to do a different decisions. How many time are you going to spend in one place, how many time do you have to move on, and you have to decide this based on the availability and the cheapness of the flights or the other type of transport. So it might seem like something not that important, and you would say like, yeah, but you're still traveling. But anyways, that causes a lot of stress, and that can cause and the so-called travel burnout. So without further explanation, travel burnout is a thing, and even it's totally worth it if you're planning on backpacking or you're backpacking right now. You should be aware of this so that you can do as much as possible to try and stay away from it, which in my opinion, one of the easiest and more like tangible things or ways that you can manage this is by avoiding the physical burnout first. So that's why I accentuated and I talk a lot about staying as healthy as possible in the track, because if you're physically healthy, maybe you cannot avoid being mentally, you know, having stress or having preoccupations about your other things in life, or maybe about the track itself, but it would not build up with the mental thing, so you would stay in a lower level of stress if you take care of yourself in the physical form. Anyways, through the trip and also now after it, I thought about this because it happened to me obviously, and I came up with again little tips and strategies that I would recommend for you to stop this. But if you would like me to do another video about this, I don't want to make this one too long, just leave a comment below and I'll be happy to do it. Even more so because I already researched on it, and I think this is something that it's starting to be more talked about in social media, but I don't think it's as much as it should be to help you guys if you're planning on going on a trip and you are not aware of this. You should know it's a thing, and if you don't think about other things like being stolen or other major things happening, this is the one that you would have to be aware of so that you can enjoy as much as possible your trip. So yeah, there's a lot of things that I could say about traveling or backpacking itself, but I don't want to make this too long, and this is gonna be the video for now. I hope you really liked it or it was useful. Let me know if you like more videos on backpacking and what would you like to know. If you backpack yourself, give me your experiences down below, or if you want a backpack, if you're planning something, let me know what would that be, and do you agree with what I've said? What's a different technique or thought or tip that you would like to give to other people? Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for videos every week. I have my social media down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!